Brooklyn-born rapper Casanova pleads guilty to federal racketeering and drug charges. The U.S. Attorney's Office claims Casanova led the untouchable guerrilla Stone Nation Bloods gang and directed a multi-state conspiracy in that role.
Violence at the Essex County Correctional Facility after a former New York City rapper who was awaiting sentencing on federal drug charges got slashed in a vicious altercation with another inmate.
See his face because he was saturated in blood. You couldn't see it at the time because his whole face was saturated in blood and his whole uniform was saturated in blood.
Casanova, the rapper whose name became synonymous with his music and wild persona, saw everything come crashing down when he had to face some serious accusations. He confessed to the charges and ended up with a 15-year prison sentence. Things got even worse when he was attacked in prison by his own gang, the untouchable guerrilla Stone Nation, for allegedly turning his back on them. Let's dive deeper into this crazy story. Last year, Casanova was chilling at the Essex County Correctional Facility when a guy named Ulysses Lugo came at him with a blade. Casanova's face got slashed up pretty badly, but he didn't just sit there and take it. Casanova fought back and Lugo tried to run away, but Cass and his crew chased him down.
These internal reports from correction officers say Senior was slashed with a weapon by another inmate, Ulysses Lugo, and then chased him down with the help of others.
By the time the guards showed up to break things up, Casanova had allegedly already cut Lugo several times in the face too. The whole situation was intense and nobody really knew why Lugo went after Cas like that. Rumors started flying that it had something to do with a letter Casanova had sent to the judge in his case a few days before. Casanova had been accused of being a shot caller for the untouchable guerrilla Stone Nation gang. Back in 2020, he got caught up in a massive RICO indictment with 17 other Guerrilla Stone affiliates. At first, he pleaded not guilty, but later he took a deal and pleaded guilty to a bunch of crimes. Even though he copped a plea deal, Casanova was still looking at up to 60 years in prison. That's why he sent a letter to the judge talking about how he was done with the street life. Apparently, that letter didn't sit well with his gang and it might have led to the attack in prison. But let's rewind a bit to what really landed Casanova in prison. On December 1st, 2020, the music industry was rocked by the news of Casanova's arrest. The feds put out social media posts asking for help finding the 36-year-old rapper who was wanted in connection with an 18-person indictment against the notorious untouchable Guerrilla Stone Nation gang.
Tonight, a Brooklyn rapper who goes by the stage name Casanova is wanted by the FBI. His real name is Caswell Sr., and the feds say he's a member of a violent street gang.
The charges against them included racketeering, narcotics, firearms, and fraud offenses. As the post circulated online, the authorities launched a nationwide manhunt for Casanova. The search intensified and the public was urged to provide any information that could lead to his capture. Fans and followers of Casanova were left in shock, trying to wrap their heads around the serious allegations against their beloved artist. By December 2nd, Casanova had managed to evade capture, and the authorities began treating him as a fugitive. In a desperate bid to locate him, they even sent out a tweet with his picture letting the public know they were on the lookout for Caswell Sr., aka Casanova, in connection with the case. The tweet emphasized the seriousness of the charges he was facing. However, just a day after that tweet, Casanova made a surprising move. He turned himself in at the Midtown South Precinct in Manhattan, voluntarily surrendering to the authorities. The news of his surrender spread like wildfire, leaving fans and critics alike wondering about the events that led to this moment. Before he turned himself in, a video surfaced on social media posted by Casanova's wife, Swaggy Jazzy. In the video, Casanova is seen smoking a cigarette, seemingly calm and collected as he speaks to his wife. He assures her that he will be back soon, declaring his love for her with the words, "I love you like cooked food."
Going in, baby, I love you like cooked food. You know, I'm a whole gangster, tough dude. I'll see you soon. I love you like cooked food.
Love you too.
Swaggy Jazzy reciprocates the sentiment, standing by her husband's side and maintaining his innocence until proven guilty. The video and Swaggy Jazzy's post sparked a wave of support from Casanova's fans who rallied behind him, echoing the sentiment that he was innocent until proven guilty. They vowed to fight for his freedom and question the validity of the charges against him. With Casanova now in custody, the focus shifted to the legal proceedings that awaited him. The charges Casanova faced were no joke, and the potential consequences were downright terrifying. His arrest shook up the music industry big time, leaving everyone wondering what would happen to his career and the impact it would have on the hip-hop community. After Casanova turned himself in, his legal team scrambled to get him out of the Westchester County Jail in Valhalla, New York. They proposed a $2.5 million bond package with conditions like home detention, travel restrictions, electronic monitoring, and giving up his passport. Casanova was determined to prove he wouldn't run, even offering up 5 properties as collateral. But the prosecutors were having none of it. They were dead set against letting him out on bail. They brought up an Instagram post Casanova made before turning himself in where he claimed the police were targeting him because of his successful music career and provocative lyrics. The prosecutors argued that Casanova's ties to the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation gang went way deeper than just promoting them on social media. To back up their claims, the prosecutors presented evidence from Casanova's Instagram and iCloud accounts. They pointed out a post from a few days before his arrest featuring a song called Gripped Up, along with an image of an assault rifle. They also showed pictures from his iCloud and Instagram of various handguns and a rifle on a couch. The prosecutors argued that these posts and images proved Casanova's connection to firearms and his active role in the gang's illegal activities. They didn't stop there. The prosecutors also brought up Instagram posts showing Casanova flaunting bags of branded marijuana, suggesting he was involved in drug dealing. They claimed he was directing gang members to sell drugs, using his music career as a front to promote their illegal activities. Messages from his iCloud history revealed conversations about selling marijuana, with Casanova allegedly saying that the bags of weed were going for $1,700 a quart. The prosecutors went even further to build their case against Casanova. They installed a listening device at the Auburn Correctional Facility where they recorded conversations between Casanova and Dwight Reed, aka Dick Wolf, the leader of the Gorilla Stone Nation gang. During one visit, a co-defendant named Walter Luster told Reed that Casanova had additionally fired a gun during a poker game in New York. Luster also claimed that Casanova always carried a gun on the streets. These recorded conversations provided more evidence of Casanova's alleged involvement in the gang's activities. The prosecutors argued that Casanova was a significant danger to the community if released on bail. They claimed his associates were committing acts of violence and Casanova could manipulate gang members to do his bidding without directly involving himself. They also pointed out his delayed surrender, noting that he didn't turn himself in immediately when the charges were announced. Geolocation data from his phone showed that he dropped it and only surrendered after talking to his lawyer and leaving New York for Atlanta. The prosecutors believe this behavior showed he was a flight risk. Despite Casanova's efforts to secure his release, the prosecutors stood firm in their objections. They emphasized the seriousness of the charges against him and the potential danger he posed to the community. The battle over bail highlighted the intensity of the legal proceedings and the high stakes involved. As Casanova's trial approached, the weight of the charges against him became more apparent. Facing the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars, Casanova and his legal team carefully considered their options. Ultimately, they decided to go for a plea deal with the prosecution. In May 2022, Casanova stood before the court and entered a guilty plea to counts of racketeering, conspiracy, and narcotics. This plea deal was a major turning point in the case. Casanova admitted to his involvement in the criminal activities tied to the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation gang. During his guilty plea, Casanova revealed some shocking details about his role within the gang. He confessed to distributing between 100 to 400 kilograms of marijuana, showing just how deep he was in the drug trade.
Brooklyn-born rapper Casanova pleads guilty to federal racketeering and drug charges. The U.S. Attorney's Office claims Casanova led the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation Bloods gang and directed a multi-state conspiracy in that role.
He also admitted to being part of a robbery in August of 2018 and a shooting at a party in Florida in July 2020, which stemmed from a dispute over a poker game. Casanova's guilty plea was a pivotal moment in his legal battle. By accepting responsibility for his actions, he not only acknowledged the severity of the charges against him, but also provided a sense of closure for the victims and their families who had been affected by the gang's violent activities. Throughout the trial, Casanova's legal team argued fervently for a lighter sentence, highlighting his decision to cut ties with the gang and expressing his genuine remorse for his past actions. They emphasized his efforts to distance himself from the gang's activities as his music career gained traction, pointing to his public statements denouncing the gang lifestyle. Even with the plea deal, Casanova was still staring down the possibility of a 60-year prison sentence.
Cop to a shooting and a robbery and to trafficking more than 100 kilos of pot. He faces between 5 and 60 years in prison when
Then he took a bold step by sending a heartfelt letter to the judge letters where he spoke about his commitment to leaving the street life behind. Casanova began the letter by taking full responsibility for his past, explaining that he never had anyone to show him a better path and had to learn to survive the streets on his own. He shared how, over the last few years, he had been working with young people on the streets trying to guide them away from the mistakes he made. In his letter, Casanova wrote, quote, "I learned through my music career that people will listen and that I don't need to associate myself with a gang to succeed. I don't need to associate with a gang even if I don't succeed." Despite his attempts to change, Casanova admitted that he continued to push the gangsta image to promote his career. The RICO indictment accused him of being a high-ranking member of the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation and calling the shots. But Casanova disputed these claims in his letter. Quote, "I don't care what the government tells you, I'm telling you the truth. I was not involved in the daily activities of this gang. I wasn't anyone's boss," he wrote. Casanova wanted out of the gang life, but allowed the gang to use his name for promotion. He expressed regret for this in his letter, saying, quote, "What I was, and I regret this, was a person that they could use to promote themselves. In a world I swear to you I was trying to leave." He also apologized for the 2018 robbery incident. Casanova explained that he was a diner with some friends when a woman started recording him on her phone. He allegedly snatched the phone out of her hand, and then another Gorilla Stone affiliate got involved and choked her unconscious. Initially, rumors suggested that Casanova ordered the attack, but he later told the court that he did not instruct the other man to choke her and that he actually picked the woman up off the ground and handed her phone back when the situation was over. In his letter to the judge, Casanova apologized once more for everything that happened. Quote, "I am sorry for my past, I am sorry for the robbery, but I am telling you I acted out of impulse in taking the lady's phone and deleting the videos, but that is all I wanted to do," he wrote. He insisted that he never intended for anyone to get hurt and reiterated that he did not order the other man to put hands on her. At the end of his letter, Casanova made a powerful statement. Quote, "I'm telling you and anyone that will listen, I'm no longer a member of Gorilla Stone or any other gang." Unfortunately, this declaration of change and remorse may have led to the attack on him in prison. Rumors quickly spread that Casanova was targeted because of his letter to the judge, where he publicly renounced his gang affiliation. This decision to leave the gang life behind was met with violence from within the prison walls. Despite his heartfelt apology and clear desire to turn his life around, the judge didn't feel it was enough. On June 27th, news broke that Casanova had been handed a 15-year prison sentence.
Casanova has received his prison sentence. The Brooklyn rapper, who was facing up to 60 years in prison on Tuesday, was sentenced to 188 months, which is 15 years behind bars.
Casanova tried hard to convince everyone that he was on a path to change for the better. However, an attorney named Damian Williams claimed that Casanova played a significant role in the Gorilla Stone crew, helping them expand their operations across the country. Fans had hoped the judge might be lenient during sentencing, and while Casanova didn't receive the full 60 years he was facing, he was still handed a 15-year sentence. If he keeps his head down and stays out of trouble inside, he might get some years knocked off for good behavior, but that's going to be tough when he's got people coming at him with blades. The Essex County Correctional Facility, where Casanova is incarcerated, is notorious for its dangerous environment and brutal fights. Fans are scared for his safety because this place has a violent reputation. For example, a disturbing video surfaced back in 2021 showing a group of inmates viciously beating another man with a broomstick. One of the attackers even hurled a microwave at the unconscious victim. The incident left Jayshawn Boyd, 22, in a coma and fighting for his life. The video of the September 23, 2021 attack showed 6 other inmates on top of Boyd at one point, repeatedly punching and stomping him until he was knocked unconscious. Trigger warning, this video is very disturbing. Some of the inmates then doubled back, including one who hit the incapacitated man with an industrial mop bucket, drenching him with cleaning solution. Another inmate threw a microwave directly at Boyd's head. The reason for the assault remains unclear. Boyd, who suffers from schizophrenia, was initially taken into custody at the jail on September 9th and was attacked shortly after being housed in a designated gang unit. According to Michael Thomas Licciardi, an associate attorney for Brooke Barnett, who represents Boyd. "That's something we don't know at this point," Licciardi said. "It appears to be pretty quick, within minutes of him getting into the common area. We just received a copy of the video from a family member who received it anonymously." 7 inmates at the jail face charges, including attempted murder. aggravated assault, and third-degree rioting in the attack, Licciardi said. A spokeswoman for the Essex County Prosecutor's Office identified the suspects in the clip as inmates Bayard Lockett, Daryl Watson, Assad Jackson, Tyshawn Armour, Henry Asensio, Jaquil Anderson, and Maurice Hutchins. Right in the beginning, you see Jay Sean's hands up, but 5 guys are on him right away and grabbing anything they can to assault him, Licciardi said of the clip. Boyd remained in critical condition in a medically induced coma at a hospital in Newark, Licciardi said. Jail officials were deliberately indifferent to the beatdown, according to a notice of claim alleging that negligence and improper training by the Essex County Department of Corrections prompted the attack. Damages in this matter are continuing and are yet to be determined, as the extent and permanence of Mr. Boyd's injuries are as yet unknown. A letter attached to the filing read at the time. The claim alleges that Boyd's constitutional rights against cruel and unusual punishment were violated by jail officials who put him in confinement that carried a substantial and unreasonable risk of harm. An Essex County spokesman declined to comment on the notice of claim or matters under investigation by the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. Licciardi said Boyd of Elizabeth was not in a gang and was likely to be sentenced to 5 years of probation in 2 2020 domestic altercations involving his mother and brother. However, Boyd failed to appear for his sentencing in July and was later arrested on a bench warrant before being taken to the Essex County Jail, Licciardi said. The footage from inside the lockup also clearly showed a lack of officers responding to the melee, the attorney said. On top of how truly disturbing the footage is, it's equally disturbing to see no involvement of any kind of corrections officers, Licciardi continued. The attack goes on for multiple minutes. It's a conscious lack of intervention. Besides this brutal incident, there have been other violent fights in this prison resulting in inmates and officers getting K-worded. This is why fans are hoping Casanova will stay safe, because if he has been attacked once, he could get attacked again. Now, let's dive into who Casanova really is. Born Caswell Sr. on October 27, 1986, Casanova grew up in the heart of Brooklyn, New York. Life in his neighborhood was tough, filled with things no kid should ever have to see. The streets were his playground, but they also became his greatest temptation. By the tender age of 11, Casanova had already started down a path of crime. While most kids his age were busy playing games and dreaming about their futures, Casanova was out there snatching things from unsuspecting people. It wasn't just about getting stuff, he got a real thrill from the chase, the adrenaline pumping through his veins as he outsmarted those around him.
So if my mom's giving me everything, but my other friend is robbing it, I'm just like, that's cool to do. And my mom's gonna get it for me anyway, so I just got extra. You know what I'm saying? And like,
you're just greedy.
Yeah.
Casanova's mischievous side was evident early on. He did things like throwing eggs at people during Halloween and swiping flowers from businessmen on Valentine's Day. It was like he had his own set of rules, seeing the world in a way that most people didn't. When he looked back on those times, he didn't feel bad about it. In an interview with Vlad TV, he admitted that robbing people gave him a rush, like a wild thrill ride. He wasn't afraid to take risks and seemed to enjoy the trouble he got into. This mindset made him notorious for his wild antics and lack of remorse for his actions.
Right, except when you go to prison, it's not fun anymore.
No, it's fun too.
It's fun too.
It's fun. Prison was fun. Everything stops being fun when you have something to live for. You get it? It's like...
So you just didn't give a
You don't care.
As Casanova got older, his crimes escalated. He dropped out of school in the 8th grade, finding solace and acceptance in the streets. In his neighborhood, being accepted often meant being a bit mischievous and daring. Casanova's hunger for acceptance led him down a dangerous path. He moved from small-time theft to more daring acts like jumping people at night to stealing their money. The thrill of the chase and the rush of evading the police became an addiction, fueling his desire for street credibility. Casanova's boldness knew no bounds. He would rob people and then pose for pictures with them at clubs, proudly displaying his stolen goods. These pictures often found their way onto social media, showing off his criminal activities for everyone to see. When he was just 13, Casanova landed in jail for the first time. But instead of serving as a wake-up call, jail only intensified his desire for notoriety. He thrived in the harsh environment, even participating in fights organized by correctional officers. His reputation grew and people began mistaking him for a member of the Crips, a notorious gang. After his release, Casanova emerged as a top dog in the Gorilla Stone Nation, a gang affiliated with the Bloods. From that point on, his life was a whirlwind of criminal activities and dangerous adventures. His teenage years were marked by his involvement in the gang and constant run-ins with the law. Casanova became known for his fearlessness, never bothering to cover his face during his crimes. The adrenaline rush from evading capture and the thrill of dangerous situations became an addiction for him. At 18, he was caught red-handed robbing a check-cashing place, leading to another drastic turn in his life. This time, he faced a one-way ticket to Rikers Island. Another factor that might have influenced his bad deeds was his mom. She had money and always bailed him out, thinking he was innocent. Casanova was good at lying to her and getting away with it, making sure she had no clue about his criminal activities. Leading the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation gang wasn't any better for him. They were allegedly involved in a range of criminal activities. The indictment against Casanova and his gang included acts of violence, narcotics and even exploiting benefits programs meant to assist during the COVID-19 pandemic. The most shocking accusation was their involvement in the of a minor. While Casanova wasn't directly implicated in his association with the gang put him in a precarious position. According to the U.S. attorney, the minor was tragically as part of the gang's activities. Casanova's dreams of music stardom have been overshadowed by these serious charges. His freedom slipped through his fingers, and now he faces a challenging road ahead.